Hey, thanks for stopping by Imagine Communications today. I'm John Mailhot. I'm here with Cassidy Phillips, and we're here to talk about what's going on in the live production world. We've invested a lot of time and effort the last couple of years in UHD and HDR and 2110 IP stuff, and you'll see it in everything we do as a company. Everything we do is about flexible approaches to whatever life throws at you. And so we've applied these technologies across a whole range of projects over the last couple of years. Cassidy, can you remind us about a few?
Yeah, that's a great point, John. We've done distributed campuses where they have maybe an SDI core and they're using IP to optimize the links between multiple venues to make it all feel like one big router under our Magellan. But we've also done professional arenas and professional stadiums where from one night it could be a concert to the next night there's a sporting event, and they're changing completely how they're producing the show on a COTS-based infrastructure. Or maybe they're even mixing in compressed workflows and legacy SDI workflows all under one control panel. So one of the keys, in addition to that control system, making it feel like one big router and maybe even enabling remote workflows for people who need to operate from home, has also been the Selenio Network Processor to deal with all these different media types and formats.
Yep. So, as a company, we've made our trade on processors and signal converters forever. And it used to be that you made a frame with a bunch of little tiny cards, and each card did a different thing, and you had a giant basket full of cards. Well, that's just not how the world works anymore. So instead, what we do now is we make these very flexible appliance products that then you software key into whatever you need for that show. So you can have a show that's UHD and you need a lot of UHD converters, but then the next night you're doing a 1080i show and really you need more multi-viewers because you got a lot more cameras going on. Well, you can just change around the keys and turn it into this or that depending on what life throws at you that day. And that's true whether you're in a truck or whether you're in a remote or whether you're in a venue. So this has rippled into the product, right? So a lot of our focus has been on more and more different personalities to go into this flexible fabric.
One of the really cool things is that people who deployed a Selenio Network Processor in 2018 to support a UHD workflow or to do some HDR conversion of some kind, they were also able to add something new like the multi-viewer personality when we rolled that out. And they had these Selenio Network processors and racks with cables locked on and everything, and they didn't have to change anything about their physical setup. They just put a new personality on that SNP in the field.
Yep, we definitely had projects where people started out just needing, gateways because they had a lot of SDI stuff. And then later, as that SDI stuff became 2110, they've repurposed those SNPs to be multi-viewers, converters, or all kinds of other things.
Tell us a little more about how that Selenio Network Processor multi-viewer is optimized for live production.
Oh, well, that's the whole trick, right? Is that live production is a human-oriented thing where the operations team is part of the production. So it's a very low latency multi-viewer. But more importantly, it also manages HDR in the multi-viewer. So you can combine HDR and SDR signals into one canvas, and that canvas can be HDR or SDR. So different operating positions can see the thing they need to see and do their job tailored to what their really workflow is for that event.
So speaking of the ability of people to see what's happening in their system and understand and operate the system as they expect, we've gone to great lengths to make sure that Magellan SDNO makes that routing system feel the way that people expect a router to feel, with that same destination source take behavior that they've become familiar with for years. So an operator could work one event at one venue and then go down the street and work at one of our venues and not have to learn everything about SMPTE 2110, for example. But one of the other cool tools that we have is Path View, right, John?
Oh yeah, Path View is really important because in the old days, you built a facility, you got a bunch of as-built drawings, they hung in a binder on the wall, and if you needed to figure out what was going where, you just pull up those drawings, you trace the wire, and you got a patch panel, and you're all set. Well, IP isn't that way, right? Everything's connected to the switches. Path View is effectively a virtual wiring diagram that shows you a live view of what's connected to what and what's feeding what in a signal plane right now. And it does things you could never do on paper because it shows you the breakaways of the audio, it shows you what's going to where, it shows you virtual reentries and how those affect the workflow, all the stuff you need to trace out what's happening. And it makes these live diagrams that are then operationally useful. You could put that up in a corner on your multi-viewer or on your desk, and as you switch the show, you see all the lines change, and it shows what's really happening.
So thank you for coming by the Imagine virtual booth, and we look forward to speaking with you about whatever your workflow needs might be and talking about system design with you.
Have a great rest of your day.